I can tell in 60 seconds if you're an emotional eater just by observing your body language and behavior. And if you want to know the psychology of emotional eating and how to tell if your habits, your posture, and your clothes are secretly revealing your relationship with food, this episode is for you. Because today we're diving into a part of emotional eating that no one is talking about. And those are the behaviors that silently give you away without you even knowing. So I'm going to break down 3 things: what your voice, your posture, and your behavior reveal about emotional eating, even when you're not saying a word. Number 2, the 7 behavioral, what we call quote unquote tells that are silently revealing if you're an emotional eater. And yes, you probably do more of these than you think. And then the 5 emotional eating identities and how each one uses food to self-soothe. So welcome, I'm your host, Holly Bertone. I'm a former FBI Chief of Staff for Counterintelligence turned emotional eating profiler and coach. And I help women over 40 break free from emotional eating so they can achieve a healthy and sustainable weight. Now, behavioral profiling is something I've just instinctively done my entire life. I actually wrote my first behavioral profile when I was 17 years old. I was a senior in high school. And then when I was at the FBI, I worked with analyzing data patterns. And the skill set between the two, it's different, but it's pretty similar. But now I actually get to combine the best of both worlds. And today you're going to get some insider knowledge so that you can know more about what makes you tick from this emotional eating perspective. Now, why this is important for you, let me go back just for a second, because this is something that I've had inside of me just instinctively my entire life. But recently, I'd actually decided to take those intuitive skills and I went back to school and I wanted to learn from a more tactical perspective. So currently, as of this recording, I am level 1 neurocognitive intelligence certified. And I'm going to be continuing on going up the levels and getting more certifications. I think just part of it is I'm just a glutton for punishment. But I can officially say now that I am a trained behavioral profiler who specializes in emotional eating forensics. That being said, and why you are here today, I just needed to give you some context here. But I can tell in under a minute, and just by observing a woman's behavior, if she emotionally eats, if she stress eats, if she overeats, to do things like soothe or numb or to take the edge off. And I want to be perfectly clear. This is not a party trick. I'm not some kind of psychic. I'm not going to read you. This is where intuition meets classroom training. But more so than that, this is a gift that God has given me with a chance to make it even better. And I truly view this as a sacred responsibility. So if you're curious about what this looks like in real life, let me give you 2 examples of this. So the first one, I was having a conversation with a woman in person, and we were talking about anxiety. And as we're talking, I could just literally see her nervous system just shift in real time. And it's what they call a micro expression, meaning you're not actually going to notice it unless you're just really acutely aware and looking for it. And in that moment, I just saw it. And in that moment, I just paused and I asked her, I said, "Do you feel different?" And she just kind of gave me this look of, how do you know? And she said, "Yeah, all of a sudden, I just feel really calm." Well, the second one was on a coaching call, and I was on with a client and we're on Zoom. And she was talking through a situation with a coworker. Now, the coworker was not on Zoom. It was just me and the client, just the 2 of us. But I was able to apply the emotional forensics to that situation, even though I couldn't see the other person. But the thing with this kind of coaching is I don't actually tell you what to do. I lead you and I guide you with these powerful questions so that you can figure it out for yourself. I mean, think about it. If I just told you what to do, what are the chances of you actually doing it? Versus if you were to come up with the solution yourself, like you had ownership of that solution, you had skin in the game. How much more willing do you think you're going to be to put it into action? Right. So I asked her to give me a few seconds because I needed just some quiet, but I needed to articulate it to her what I saw. So I came up with the questions. I asked her the questions and really got her to think. And all of a sudden, it was like the room just got instantly brighter. And she went from being completely stuck in this problem to this place of just like, oh, I get it now. And she was able to see her coworker from a totally different perspective. Now, we didn't actually come up with a solution in that moment, but she had a different lens. She now had the tools. She was able to view this from a place of curiosity so that she could more easily solve the problem. And you might be thinking, okay, Holly, yeah, this sounds great, but what does this have to do with emotional eating? Well, it has everything to do with emotional eating. And this is where the emotional forensics come in. So I'm going to give you the formula a little bit later in the episode. So just hang tight. We're going to get there. So how exactly can I tell in 60 seconds if a woman is an emotional eater? And just by observing her body language. Well, there are 7 giveaways or tells, they're called. And I want you to count how many of these you do on a regular basis. So there's 7 of them. Number 1, she walks like she's apologizing to the air. Her head is slightly down, and she's just taking up as little space as possible. Number 2, or it's actually the opposite, and she's moving fast, but she's aimless. She has this like restless energy, this kind of emotional chaos. Number 3, her clothes are oversized and baggy, but not styled. It's almost like she's wearing clothes to be invisible. Number 4, she apologizes even when it's not her fault. Number 5, she lets others go first, even when she was there first. Number 6, when she stands, she's slouching or she's looking down or her arms are crossed. And again, she's trying to be invisible. And then number 7, she is on her phone, checking her phone every few minutes like it's some kind of lifeline, like it's her Linus blanket. Okay, so how many of these 7 describe you? You know what? Depending where you're listening or watching, leave a comment. Let me know how many of these you do on a regular basis, because I'd love to know. And I want to be perfectly clear, is that regardless of your number, there is nothing wrong with you. They're just tells or signs. And the good news is that these signs are a language that I can help you decode. So put on your detective hat, my friend, and let's go decode what is really underneath the emotional eating. And these visible tells that I just shared, there are 5 examples that I have for you. So you may see one of these in someone you know. You may even see one of these in yourself. Okay, first one. You've got the woman who apologizes even when it's not her fault. She's learned to keep the peace to feel safe. And she has completely eliminated her voice in doing so. And because she abandons herself and because of her insecurity, she punishes herself with food in private to fill that void. And adjacent to this one is the woman who lets others go first, or who gives in to what others want because she doesn't like conflict. She doesn't rock the boat because she wants to keep the peace. So she hides her true feelings. She never expresses what she truly means. And then food becomes her secret best friend. Now, these first 2 women, they're also typically going to have either a soft voice or a strained, even a scratchy voice. They're often going to end their sentences with an uptalk. So instead of ending the sentence, they're asking a question. Third, the woman who needs validation. So whether that's a like on social media or someone acknowledging her hard work, but she needs this praise and attention. And she's going to brush it off like, oh, that doesn't matter. But that approval is fuel for her. That's what gives her fuel. And then when she doesn't get that fuel, when she doesn't get the approval from other people, she doesn't know how to give it to herself. So she ends up eating what she's craving. Fourth is the woman who is the powerhouse. She is hyper independent. She is the caretaker. She has carried more storms than anyone can imagine. And she takes care of things because they need to get done. This one, it's not about approval. She cares about preserving her dignity. This is done in quiet strength. And when she doesn't have any strength left, instead of just going to someone for support, she gets out the comfort food and she gives herself what she needs. And last one, the fifth one, is the fixer. She's the one who leads with empathy. She has this hyper awareness about her. She walks into a room and she instantly reads the energy before she even can take a breath or even blink. Like, she has had years of experience in childhood with this, maybe living in a divorced home, or maybe she had an alcoholic or a narcissistic parent. But she learned early on, she learned to read the room because it was safer when you can anticipate someone's mood and then adjust accordingly. And she reaches for comfort food, basically as this just exhale of always being on guard, because it's the only place that she feels safe. It's the only place that she can actually surrender. There are plenty more, but these are the top 5 that I see all of the time, and the top 5 most common ones. And if you're thinking, ooh, wait a second, Holly, I see myself in more than one or in all of these. Okay, yes and yes. There are parts of us that show up when we need them to. And these are also patterns that have been ingrained in us for decades. These patterns have been protecting us. And they're also what's holding us back. And quick side tangent, if this stuff sounds interesting to you, if you're leaning in, you're like, oh, I want to know what my secret craving type is, you are going to get totally geeked out with the personalized results that you get from the emotional eating psychological profile. Now, I created this after analyzing 1,791 cravings profiles and slicing and dicing hundreds of data points. And everyone who takes it, they say it is scary accurate. The results are just like, wow, it's like you're in my head. The profile, it's totally free. It only takes 2 minutes of your time, and you will get access right away. I'll also leave the link in the notes section below. So let's connect the dots with emotional eating and losing weight. Now, I want you to think about something. Do you still believe that the only way to lose weight is with diet and exercise? Or is there at least a part of you who's starting to believe that there might be something going on behind the scenes that needs to be addressed first? You see, our brain's only job is to keep us safe and alive. So if you have these patterns for decades, they're now a part of your identity. They're a part of who you are. They're a part of how you operate automatically. So when you try to change something, like going on a diet, your brain's like, nope, I like you the old way. So if you feel like you're fighting yourself every time you go on a diet, hello, it's because you are. Okay, your brain operates from two systems. System 1 is the limbic system. System 1 is the limbic system. This is your fast, your emotional, your automatic part of the brain. System 2 is the prefrontal cortex. System 2 is the prefrontal cortex. This is your slow and logical and strategic part of the brain. So those patterns that I talked about, staying quiet, apologizing, people-pleasing, seeking validation, staying strong, reading the room, do they operate from system 1, which is emotional and automatic, or system 2, which is logical and strategic? They operate from system 1. You don't stop and think, oh, golly gee, I'm going to say yes when I really mean no. You just say yes automatically. You agree to do the thing you don't want to do, and then you feel guilty about it. And then if you end up going back and saying no, you over-explain why you're saying no, and then you still feel guilty. And then when you give that piece of yourself away, you fill the void with comfort food. This is automatic and emotional. Okay, let me ask you this, and I know I'm making you think a lot today. You're like, oh my goodness, Holly, you're making me think today. When it comes to dieting, counting calories, counting the points, counting the macros, taking the supplements, taking the pills, everything that the diet industry pushes on, do you think that is system 1, which is emotional and automatic, or system 2, which is logical and strategic? The diet industry, it pushes a system 2 solution, right? Are you starting to connect the dots? You're trying to solve a system 1 problem that is emotional and automatic with a system 2 solution that is logical and strategic. It's like getting out a spoon to hammer a nail into a wall. You're using the wrong tool. And you've been using the wrong tool for decades. Okay, so what does this actually look like when it's implemented? Because you already know what dieting looks like, and I'm guessing you're a diet dreader like all of the women I work with. And I hate to disappoint you, but the deep work that I do with my students and clients, it really doesn't have much to do with food. But the outcome, it just completely changes your relationship with food. Now, I want you to imagine what this would look like. So for number 1, the apologizer, you actually walk into a room and your shoulders are back, your head is high. You've got this level of confidence that nothing can throw you off your game. You take up space because you deserve it. And you no longer eat to punish yourself in private. You're not stuffing down the comfort food because you didn't abandon yourself in the first place. Number 2, the conflict avoider. You have boundaries. You're not afraid to use them. And the people respect you for them. In a meeting, you're going to say, actually, I'd like to go next. And you speak. You understand that someone's disappointment is not your responsibility. At dessert, you just say, no, thank you, without that nervous laugh or 5-minute over-explain about your diet. You don't need comfort food as your BFF because you actually feel seen and heard, not just by other people, but by yourself, from yourself. You feel seen and heard from yourself. Number 3 is the praise seeker. You can post on social media and just leave it. You don't have to obsess about who's liking it. You can finish a project and have that inner dialogue of, I just crushed that, without even needing your boss to praise you for it. You know your value, it's not up for debate. Because you know you are enough. You know I am a child of God. And because you affirm yourself, you don't need comfort food to reward you. Number 4 is the powerhouse. You actually delegate. You say no, you rest, you can receive, all without guilt. You feel this inner strength not by all of the burdens that you carry on your shoulder. It's just this inner compass that you have, and you know you're on the right track. You can receive actual comfort internally as your fuel, and you don't need to rely on comfort food for it. And then last one, number 5, the fixer. You walk into a room and it is not a battlefield to manage everyone's emotions. You don't absorb everyone's energy like you used to. And it's almost like you have this invisible shield around you. You know it is not your job to manage everyone's moods and emotions. And comfort food is no longer that exhale. You can finally breathe again. So there you have it. My goal today was to give you what your voice, your posture, and behavior reveal about emotional eating, even when you're not saying a word. The 7 behavioral tells that silently reveal if you're an emotional eater, and the 5 emotional eating identities, and how each one uses food to self-soothe. So my hope that this helps you to learn more about what makes you tick, and especially with emotional eating. My name is Holly Bertone. I'm your emotional eating profiler and coach, and I'll see you next week.